Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through a few further examples. Now, for these next examples, what we have is we've got terms where we might not just have a coefficient of 1 for our algebraic term. So let's have a go at these multiplication steps. Now, when you're doing these are the same step as before. We're still multiplying. We're still going to draw those arrows just to show what the terms that we're multiplying together. But the thing that's different with these examples is that you might need to just be careful with what those multiplication steps. So this needs you to refer back to the previous chapter that we just did on multiplication and division. So let's have a go at this first one. I've got 4 bracket x plus 3y. Okay, I'm going to draw my arrows. 4 connects to that x, and 4 connects to that 3y. Now here, I'm just going to have 4 times x for that first term. Because it's not a negative, I don't change the sign. So here it becomes plus 4 times 3y. Okay, let's work on this from left to right. Now 4 times x, how do I write that? That just becomes 4x. Hopefully that's okay with everyone. Now that I've done that, now I need to do 4 times 3y. Now if you remember from the previous chapter when we looked at multiplying algebraic terms, what we do is we multiply the numerical parts first, then we multiply the algebraic parts. Now here, I'm going to deal with that 4 times 3 because we're dealing with the numerical or the number parts first. So here I'm going to have plus 4 times 3, that gets me 12. So here it's going to be 4x plus 12, and I deal with the algebraic terms. Now in my 4 there's no algebraic term, there's no pronumeral there, there's no letter. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to write the y at the end. So here for this first example, what I'm going to get is just 4x plus 12y. Once again, we're just applying that same step. We're multiplying the term on the outside. So here, that term on the outside is this 4, and we're multiplying that into every single term inside my brackets. Okay, the second example here. I've got 2x bracket 4x minus 3. Now here, for this example, everything outside my bracket is going to multiply with everything inside my bracket. So here, I'm not just going to multiply by the 2. I'm not just going to multiply by the x. I'm going to multiply by 2x. And as I did before, I'm going to connect these with all my terms inside my bracket. So that's going to connect with my 4x. And it's also going to connect with my minus 3. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going to have, that is going to equal to, I'm going to scroll this up a bit, 2x times 4x. That's okay. Now because we're multiplying by a positive number, 2x is still positive. That's not going to change the sign of my negative here. So that's going to be minus 2x times 3. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to do our multiplication of our terms here. Now let's have a look at this first part here. 2x times 4x. Now as I said before, when you're multiplying algebraic terms together, you want to deal with the numbers first, then the letters. So let's deal with the numbers first. We're going to deal with the numbers. So we're going to do 2 times 4. What's 2 times 4 give me? 2 times 4 gives me 8. Now I deal with the letters. Now here for my letters, I've got x times x. If you remember from last lesson, when we do multiplying letters, what we write is, if we've got the exact same pronumeral, x times x will just give me x squared. The squared tells me how many x's I'm multiplying together. Here I've got 2 x's and they're multiplying together, so that becomes x squared. Okay, now I've done my first term, I'm going to deal with the second term, so that's still a minus. 2x times 3, deal with the numbers first. So here I've got 2 times 3, what does that give me? That gives me 6. And deal with the letters, I've just got x by itself, so here I'm just going to have 8x squared minus 6x. So for these examples, you need to remember the things that we did in the previous lesson. Remember, when you're multiplying algebraic terms together, you multiply the letters, or the numbers first, so the numbers at the front, multiply those together first. Then deal with the letters afterwards, so multiply the letters together. If there's more than one of a particular letter, you write it as a squared, if there's 2 of them multiplying together. And if it's just a whole bunch of different letters together, you just write them all together alphabetically. So for example, if it was 2x times 3y instead, that would just give us 6xy. You write the letters alphabetically after your numbers. So have a go at the questions underneath this example in your workbook. Hopefully, and if you need to go back, feel free to scroll back in this video just to see if there's a certain bit that you need to go through again.